Well, folks, the final patch of the War Within 11.2.7, titled The Warning, will be releasing in just over a week's time. So let's take a look at everything that is coming in the War Within's swan song. Starting off, of course, with the new storyline, and just as with Dragonflight, the final patch campaign story is going to act as a prologue for the next expansion, Midnight. Now, if you're avoiding spoilers, don't worry, I'm not going to be going into that story in any detail. What I will say though is that this story acts as an introduction to a couple of the main characters that we will be seeing quite a bit of when Midnight does arrive. But it also takes us to a very surprising location to meet with a very surprising returning character. You will be able to start the new campaign off by picking up the quest from the Silverhand Squire, who'll be hanging out outside the bank in Donegal. And this is one story that I think many people are going to love, but others are going to hate in equal measure. You have been warned. Also, for lore fans, the new Lorewalking feature is gaining a fourth new storyline, recapping much of the story of the Blood Elves in Quel'Tha Thalas, with a retelling of the Warcraft 3 Scourge invasion and the original corruption of the Sunwell, and capped off with an opportunity for players of all races to experience the Void Elf introduction, something that will figure quite a bit in the new Midnight story. To get started with that, all you need to do is to head over to Lorewalker Cho in Donegal. And for new players, Exile's Reach is getting a little bit of a revamp. The story of Exile's Reach itself hasn't really changed a lot. However, Rathian, Caligos, and either Jaina or Thrall, depending on your faction, now play a key role in the proceedings. And at the end of the story, we're now sent straight to the Waking Shores, avoiding that rather confusing introduction to Stormwind or Orgrimmar that we get with the current version. The Dragonflight leveling experience will remain the default for levels 10 through 70, even into Midnight, and this is getting a few tweaks, such as the addition of a story mode to the raids, meaning that the 10 to 70 leveling experience will now be capped off by taking on Razagirth from Vault of the Incarnates at level 70, and it's on to Khazulgar, which now has a brand new Lorewalking style recap mode, which will allow you to run through a streamlined version of the entire War Within story, including much of the max level content and patch stories, which will take you all the way up to level 80. And for returning players who want to use an already existing character, there is a new returning player experience set in the Arathi Highlands, offering a primer in the modern game, along with assistance in figuring out where to venture next. This new catch-up experience is being offered to all characters of any level which you haven't played recently, meaning that it's also going to be accessible to existing players if you want to take a look at it. Now, of course, unless you've been living under a rock, you already know exactly what the headline feature of patch 11.2.7 is. After 21 years, player housing is finally arriving on Azeroth. Player housing will be open to everyone in the Midnight expansion, but those of you who have already pre-ordered Midnight will be able to get a head start with early access arriving in patch 11.2.7. This is available in all 3 tiers of the Midnight pre-order, so there's no need to get the more expensive version unless you want the other bonuses, of course. And in early access, you will be able to create 2 new homes, one each in the Alliance neighbourhood of Founders Point and the Horde neighbourhood of Razorwind Shores. Housing will be available to everyone that is who did do the pre-order thing, for a nominal cost, currently 1,000 gold, so no housing shortage, and you will be able to get started right away with a set of starter furniture and decorations, along with much more to collect from both current and older content in the game. I have already done a complete getting started guide to player housing, which I will link in the description down below with all the key details, but for me this is the best implementation of player housing in an MMO that I've ever played. When you log in to the new patch, you'll get a pop-up quest which will guide you through the process of visiting the new housing neighbourhood and picking your first home. Now, if you haven't pre-ordered Midnight, unfortunately you're not going to be able to access the new housing areas nor obtain a new home, but you will still be able to start collecting those housing decor items in preparation for Midnight when it arrives. If you're a Pandaren fan, then the good news is that the developers haven't forgotten about the Heritage armor set, with a brand new Pandaren only questline, which will take you back to the Wandering Isle to help the residents with a festival that has gone a bit wrong, leaving them in need of help from none other than Azeroth's greatest champion. And this will culminate with a set of 3 heritage armor sets in Horde, Alliance and neutral grey colours. Accessing the new questline requires a Pandaren character of at least level 50, and you'll be able to get started by visiting either Isa Cloudsinger and Stormwind Embassy or G Firepower in Orgrimmar Embassy. If you don't already have a Pandaren character, this can be done if you prefer on a class trial character, but if you want a more permanent toon who can actually use the new transmog sets, then you will be getting plenty of help to level up with the return of Turbulent Timeways and the launch of Shadowlands Timewalking. Shadowlands Timewalking will see the addition of Shadowlands dungeons to the Timewalking rotation, including Necrotic Wake, Spires of Ascension, Plaguefall, The Other Side, Halls of Atonement and Sanguine Depths. As always, there is a new Shadowlands themed vendor, Collector Talstead, who will be offering not 1 but 3 new mounts to collect. Bonecleaver's Skullboar, the Crimson Lupine and the Snowpaw Glimmerfur Prowler are yours for only 5,000 Time Warp badges each. Along with that, there's also a cool Bastion Steward, Revendreth Dredger and Broker pets, and a ton of Shadowland themed transmog options. And Shadowlands Timewalking will be going live with the launch of the new patch. The Turbulent Timeways event will be running from December the 2nd through to February the 10th. That's 10 weeks in total, during which Timewalking will be active every week, and completing Timewalking dungeons will award a stacking buff, Knowledge of Timeways, which offers a 2-hour 5% XP buff. Reach 4 stacks and this will be transformed into Master of Timeways, granting a 3-hour 30% XP buff. And if you achieve Master of Timeways in at least 5 of the 10 available weeks, you will also receive the Master of Turbulent Timeways 4 achievement, which will award you Talradon's Mount Voucher, which you'll be able to exchange from one of a choice of 4 different mounts: the Bronze Quillin, the Bronze Corpsefly, the Bronze Wilderling, or the Bronze Gravewing. Now, at the moment, there doesn't appear to be a way to get the other 3 mounts during the Turbulent Timeways event, but previous Turbulent Timeways mounts have ended up being added to the Timewalking vendors, and I would be surprised if that does not happen to these at some point after the event is over. But if you're looking for something a bit more chunky to get your teeth into, this patch will also see the launch of the expansion-wide meta achievement, World Soul Searching. This new achievement requires that you do a bunch of activities throughout the War Within, and like other expansion metas, it does require a ton of work. But the good news is that you will very likely have already done quite a bit of it. I do have a full video guide for the meta achievement, which again I will link below. But in a nutshell, you're going to need to complete all 3 raids in any difficulty, do the Glory of the Delver achievement, which requires doing a bunch of delve related activities, along with most of the main patch metas, including All That Kaz and War Within Pathfinder from patch 11.02, use Zalnot Pass from patch 11.07, going Goblin Mode from patch 11.10, Owner of a Radiant Heart, which requires reaching Renown 10 with patch 11.25's Flames Radiance faction, and Unraveled and Persevering from patch 11.20. Completing all of that will award you the brand new Gear Grinder Mark II mount. But the main event of patch 11.27 is going to be the return of the Brawlers Guild. And yes, you did hear that right. After many years, the guild is making its return in the 2nd week of the new patch, starting on December the 9th. As before, the guild can be found in Brismo's Brawl Pub under the Dark Run Tram in Stormwind, or the Brawlgar Arena, which is accessed through a portal in the Valley of Honour in Orgrimmar. In its previous iterations, the Brawlers Guild was invite only. Now, on the PTR testing, the guild was completely open access, so we don't know exactly how the invites are going to work this time around when it does go live, but Blizzard have said in their announcement that the invites can be found somewhere in Donegal. The Brawlers Guild itself has a large pool of single player boss encounters which are spread across 7 ranks, and you do need to earn multiple wins in each rank in order to progress to the next one. And the new version of the Brawlers Guild is introducing 4 brand new bosses. At rank 1, there is Sunny, a lasher which will require interrupts and dealing with small groups of ads. At rank 2, the Quacken, a void infected duck which spawns tentacles and will transform you into a duckling. Rank 4 gets Glorp, a construct which drops pools you need to avoid. And at rank 7, we get the Renegade Swabby, a Plunderstorm themed boss who will gradually shrink the arena with a new Thunderstorm mechanic. Sadly, this time around, there isn't a BFA style questline to complete, but progressing the bosses will earn you lots of Brawler's Gold, which you can spend on a bunch of new rewards. These rewards include 2 new mounts, the Brawling Bruno, which requires reaching rank 6, and the Ballistic Bronco, which requires reaching rank 8. And as befits the very first ever housing patch, there are going to be 3 housing related rewards as well. Rank 2 will unlock the Brawler's Barricade. Rank 5, the Brawler's Guild Punching Bag, which hopefully we can actually use as a target dummy in our homes. And at rank 8, the Champion Brawler's Gloves. There are also a few other rewards that are returning from past iterations of the Brawler's Guild, though sadly none of the mounts. But you can get the Pugilist's Powerful Punching Ring, which offers a teleport back to your faction capital on a 1-hour cooldown. And the Brawler's Guild is also getting a bit of a major quality of life improvement, as this time around the graveyard inside the guild is going to be permanently available, meaning there's no more need to spend your precious Brawler's Gold just to avoid having to run back from outside. And finally, Skyriding is going to be getting a little bit of an overhaul with the removal of the Vigor mechanic. Instead, Surge Forwards and Skyward Ascent are going to be moving to a charge-based system with 6 shared charges, which will recharge every 12 seconds. But when you reach a high enough flying speed, that recharge time will be halved. The Whirling Surge ability is moving on to its own independent cooldown, meaning that you no longer have to choose between using it and the normal abilities. And as for the Bronze Rewind ability, that was present in the 11.2.7 PTR testing, but it has been removed in the Midnight Alpha, so I'm not sure if it will actually remain or not when this feature goes live. Skyriding is also getting a really nice quality of life improvement, as taking off will no longer consume a charge of your abilities, something that is super nice when you're just snipping between nearby quest objectives or even doing some herbing and mining in older zones. This does mean that the Vigor display is also being removed, with the charges instead being displayed in the normal way on the Dragon Riding ability bar. Now, in my opinion, this does make it quite a bit harder to see and track your charges. How much this is going to matter will, I think, vary from person to person. But if it turns out to be an issue for you, I recommend getting the add-on Dragon Rider, which is getting an update for the new system to continue to display the charges in a much clearer way. Sadly, the very popular Pandaren Dragon Riding UI WeCorder currently isn't able to track charges in this new version, and there's no word if it's going to get any sort of an update. But as WeCorders likely won't be a thing in Midnight, I'd personally recommend switching over to the Dragon Rider add-on instead, as part of the updates, the add-on author is going to be adding an option of customizing it to give a very similar to display to the Pandaren WeCorder. For a final minor patch of an expansion, there's actually a surprising amount of content to do. I'm personally looking forward to doing the Brawler's Guild, as I had a blast when I did it back in BFA. For me, it was probably the most organically social experience I'd ever had in the game. But what about all of you? What are you looking forward to in the new patch? Will you be searching out for that precious Brawler's Guild invite, or is it Timewalking Dungeons for you? Let me know down below. If you found this preview guide helpful, entertaining, and even just plain annoying, then let me know by hitting that like icon. And if you want to support my channel to grow and help me to make more of these videos along with my other content, then hit that subscribe button right now before you forget. If you don't want to miss out whenever I release a new video, then as well as subscribing, you can follow me in social media for updates. My link's in the description below as well. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.